Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. A New York federal judge has sentenced R&B superstar R. Kelly to 30 years in prison after he was found guilty of 9 counts of sex trafficking and racketeering in September. Welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and let's talk about this. According to MSN.com, Judge Ann M. Donnelly, who presided over the 6-week-long trial last year in Brooklyn, New York, announced that our favorite R&B singer, R. Kelly, the Pied Piper, sentenced Wednesday after hearing statement from R. Kelly's accusers. R. Kelly was born Robert Sylvester Kelly, was also ordered to pay $100,000 in fines. Kelly did not address the court. He stayed quiet. Man, listen, it must be rough going from the stage, the big stage. Y'all know R. Kelly. Y'all know R. Kelly sold millions of records, got a lot of platinum plaques under his belt, has lived at the top of the top, the cream of the crop. He has experienced all that for years. To go from that, crowd screaming your name, women throwing their panties and their bras on stage along with flowers while you're performing, even after you have been accused of molestation, rape, and such crimes against women, still had a strong group of women supporters. Well, it's over now. 30 years. R. Kelly is in his 50s, so 30 years. He'll be getting out at 80-something years old. A jury of 7 men and 5 women found the 55-year-old, so he'll be getting out at 85. If he is not able to appeal this and have some time taken off or have his sentence overturned. He was found guilty on September 27th. He was just waiting to be sentenced. After just 2 days of deliberation, at the time R. Kelly remained motionless with his eyes looking at the floor as the verdict was read. See, R. Kelly already knew it was coming, man. He knew it. Robert knew he had a problem. He said it before, and he just could not even help himself, even knowing what the consequences would be like. Well, you couldn't stop yourself, you couldn't control yourself, so there you are. Now you must live with those consequences. Although sex was certainly a weapon that you used, this, not a case about sex. It's a case about violence, cruelty, and control, is what the judge said to R. Kelly. Through tears and anger, R. Kelly's accusers told the court on Wednesday he preyed on them, he misled them as fans. As the fallen R&B star listened, he looked at the floor as he awaited his sentencing on his federal sex trafficking conviction. Now, R. Kelly got other charges out there, so they're starting him off. They're buttering him up. They're greasing him up so they can ram him with the elephant one. Starting him off with 30. One of his accusers got up in court and said, "You made me do things that broke my spirit. I literally wished I would die because of how low you made me feel." This is what one woman said to the Grammy-winning, multi-platinum selling singer. She looked him dead in the face and said, "Do you remember that?" He never answered. R. Kelly didn't even get up and say, "You're lying." Remember that interview he did with Gail where he started crying, "I'm fighting for my fucking life." Well, he probably didn't say fucking, but he said, "I'm fighting for my life." Well, in court, as the victims looked at him and said what they had to say, he never uttered a word. He knew what time it was. These charges were based on an argument that R. Kelly's entourage of managers and aides helped him to meet these girls and to keep them obedient and to keep them quiet. You know, they would buy them gifts. They would lock them up when R. Kelly said to lock them up. They would escort them to places. They would go out fishing for him and bring girls to him. These actions mounted to a criminal enterprise under the federal laws. So they hit him with the big dog charges. Now, according to the U.S. attorney, Kelly was also convicted of criminal counts accusing him of violating what is called the Mann Act, MANN Act, which makes it illegal to take anyone across the state lines for any immoral purposes. He was found to have transferred some people across the state lines for his sexual deviant behaviors, entertainment purposes, etc. So under that, he was found guilty. Prosecutors actually filed a memo on June 8th, and in the memo it says that R. Kelly deserved 25 years behind bars for his sexual abusing of women and girls. And a lot of people were saying, man, that's too much time. 25 years? Come on now. Everybody who is considered a victim in R. Kelly's case were willing participants at one time. Now, you got to remember, there are some underaged people in here. And if they're underaged, in the law, they cannot speak for themselves. A child cannot give an adult legal consent to have sexual intercourse with them. Understood? So the singer's lawyer said a 10-year sentence would be better. That's all he deserves. And you know, his lawyers got up there and did what lawyers are supposed to do. They're supposed to try to get you off, or at least get you less time than 30 years. His lawyers went before the judge and talked about his traumatic childhood and how he grew up in poverty and he endured prolonged childhood sexual abuse and a whole lot of violence he grew up around, and including what was done to him. So the lawyers were basically saying to the jury, hey, this is a twisted person, a genius at music, but a talented performer, but a twisted person because of his childhood, which he had no control of. And because he never got help, he lived his life in a twisted way. Well, the jury wasn't hearing all that. He's strong, is what his lawyer said. And we're going to get through this. Defense attorney Jennifer Bonjean said on her way into court on Wednesday. And then she said that the singer is hopeful that the conviction would be overturned on appeal, whatever the sentence is. Well, the sentence is 30 years. Anybody would be hoping that that sentence would be done away with in some way, shape, fashion, or form. Poor R. Kelly, man. His brother actually did an interview, and his brother was doing time in prison at the time he did the interview from behind bars. I don't know if his brother is still in prison, but I remember his brother saying, Robert can't survive that. He's not going to. He is the softest of all of us. He'll commit suicide. And you know, some family members, they just wait until you who made it downfall, then they just stick the knife in you and finish you off for whatever reason. Somebody is paying him for a salacious, exciting interview, and it's a whole lot of money. And they'll take the money and say, that's some family members, they'll take the money and say anything. So I don't know if he had any reason to be painting Robert R. Kelly the way he did, but this is his blood brother that he grew up with. This brother actually confessed that he himself was molested, and he was molested by the same person that molested R. Kelly. And he didn't know that R. Kelly, his younger brother, was being molested until he found out later on. And he said when he found out, he was very upset because he used to go through it to save R. Kelly, Robert. But apparently it didn't save him. Well, if his brother is saying that Robert can't handle this. He can't handle no prison time, no extended prison time. He's gonna kill himself in there. I haven't heard any talks about him being on suicide watch or anything like that. The sentence was just handed down. Here are some of the things that his accusers said during his sentencing. R. Kelly manipulated millions of fans into believing that he was someone other than the man the jury saw, is what one of them said. Victims have sought to be heard and acknowledged, she said. We are no longer the preyed on individuals that we once were. A third woman, sobbing, sniffling, crying really hard. She said that R. Kelly's conviction restored her faith in the legal system. I once lost hope, she said, addressing the court and the prosecutor. I once lost hope. But you destroyed my faith. The woman said that R. Kelly victimized her after she went to a concert when she was 17 years old. I was afraid. I was young. I was naive. I didn't know how to handle myself in situations like those, she said. So, she didn't speak up at the time when it all went down. This is a very lonely and dark place to be in. R. Kelly, according to the press, kept his hands folded and he looked down at his lap or at the ground while listening to her speak. It wasn't yet clear whether he would speak at the sentencing, but we all know now that he never did. What happened during his trial? R. Kelly's trial stemmed from 6 complaining witnesses, one of whom was Aaliyah. Aaliyah is dead and has been gone for a long time. I don't remember her complaining, but they might have written documents that she did complain. Here's a little theory for you also. It was said at one point, we hear stuff through the grapevines, that R. Kelly had something to do with Aaliyah's death. His team, who he knew, made that plane did what it did because she would have been the one to put him away back then for a long time. And back then, he was making hundreds of millions of dollars, and there were people who were dependent on him to continue to make that money. So they had to get rid of Aaliyah in order for him to continue making that money. Witnesses say that the late singer was married to Kelly, which is Aaliyah. Yes, she was married to R. Kelly before she was even legally old enough to do so, through the use of fraudulent documents. And R. Kelly did not take the stand at his trial. Now, see, yes, R. Kelly's assistant actually turned against him. He testified that, yes, Robert told me when that the young girl that he was doing music with was pregnant, and he said he wanted to marry her and all this other stuff, and I had to get the documents together and forge some papers and get him married really quickly, etc., etc. And all that stuff compiled against him, his fat was fried, my friend. Several other accusers testified that they, in details, saying that R. Kelly subjected them to perverted and sadistic things when they were all underage. The sentencing was originally set for May 4th, but it was delayed several times. Now, less than a week before Wednesday's sentencing, one of R. Kelly's supporters was arrested in Chicago after making threats towards the prosecutors that were working on the R&B singer's trial on YouTube. That person went and made a video and said, if y'all trying to get him off, I swear to God, I'll kill one of y'all. Something like that. Now, the complaint obtained by USA Today details that a man named Christopher Gunn live streamed a video showing off a photo of the Brooklyn Federal Court building while encouraging viewers to get real familiar with this building. We're going to storm this office, get real familiar with this building. Basically, he was saying if anything happens where R. Kelly walks, it's on and popping. Now, a bunch of white folks just stormed the Capitol not too long ago. Some of them got some prison time and others got light charges and walked away. But if you can imagine a whole bunch of black people storming a federal building, the outcome is going to be a bit different. Anyways, they were taking precautionary measures, try to make sure that this would not disrupt what the court proceedings had going on in process. So in 2008, a jury acquitted R. Kelly on 14 counts of child pornography charges. 14 counts. And that was back in 2008. Listen, if I was able to beat 14 counts as a black man in America, 14 counts of child pornography charges, the jury back then in 2008, they deliberated less than 8 hours over a 2-day period. And R. Kelly walked away from that. If I was able to walk away from that, I swear, I would go live in Bali, or one of those places that has no extradition treaty with the U.S. I would sing from there. I would only tour to briefly visit the U.S., pick up my bag, and get out. I would stay far away from underage girls. I'm dating senior citizens only after this. But again, R. Kelly had an issue and he could not control his issue. R. Kelly, who has been jailed without bail since 2019, he still faces similar federal and state charges in Illinois. Get this. And in Minnesota. So he just got 30 years on. That's what took place in New York. Like I told y'all before, he has other charges, similar charges in other states. His trial in Illinois is scheduled to begin August 15th. Damn. I'm thinking, man, if they give him 30 years at Illinois and then they give him 30 years in Minnesota, it would equal to 90 years combined from 3 different courts. I don't know if there's something in the law that says since it was from 3 different courts, it all runs concurrently, which means he would do 30. But if in the law it says that each 30-year sentence is to be upheld because each state has the right to punish him, then what you would have would be New York getting their 30 years out of him first, and then Illinois getting their 30 years out of him, and then he would be shipped to Minnesota to get their 30 years out of him because he was convicted in New York first. That's 90 years in prison, which means he will never see the light of day again. R. Kelly will never be able to sing outside of a cage. He will never be able to roam free ever again. The hitmaker, he's known for work that include his 1996 hit single, which is still a bomb song, I Believe I Can Fly. And of course, hood shit. Trapped in a Closet, the series, a multi-part tale of sexual betrayal and intrigue. Everybody who knows about Trapped in a Closet knows that was just straight blockbuster movie made into a song. R. Kelly is a genius when it comes to his music. Obviously, not a genius when it comes to his life. Allegations that R. Kelly abused some young girls began circulating as far back as 1990. He was sued in 1997 by a woman who allegedly said that he sexually abused her and sued him for sexual harassment while she was a minor. And he later faced criminal charges, child pornography charges. Back then, a jury acquitted him in 2008, and he hush-hush settled that lawsuit, gave some money, and moved on with making more money. All the while, he continued to sell millions of albums, make millions of dollars, and made a few people rich. Well, that all comes to an end today. R. Kelly has been sentenced to 30 years in prison. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and we'll talk about this one some more. SouFLoTV, I'm out. Peace.